So welcome to Silicon Valley Center for Spiritual Living. I am so glad to see you here. I'm so glad to be here. This is our 1-year anniversary, and it also is the weekend to honor Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And when I launched the center last year, when I knew that I was going to launch a center, that was like November 3rd or 4th that it came to me. And I was very, very certain I wanted to launch on King Weekend. And that's what we did. It was a miraculous push to do that. And it happened. And so here we are. And so here we are once again, as we look at the world around us, there's a lot of turbulence. Right? There's a lot of turbulence going on. There's political crises after political crises, and just so much going on in the world, which appears to be chaotic and senseless and jarring and shaking. And it is the best of times and the worst of times, right? Everything's happening. And so anniversaries like this give us an opportunity, the top of the year, birthdays, right? It gives us an opportunity not only to reflect, but to think about how we're going to move forward, right? To be really conscious about how we are moving forward. And so this month, that's why the theme is create your next chapter, right? Create your next chapter. Because we are all conscious creators, and this entire year at this center, what we're focused on is how we can even more deeply and powerfully practice the art of conscious creation, where we get into the driver's seat of our lives and we create that which we desire. We co-create it with Spirit, right? So that's what we're about here. And this month, we're talking about how do we create the next chapter? Because what I'm certain of is that we are not here only to react to what is happening, right? To just react to what is happening. We're here to actually look at what is happening and go, okay, here's what I'm choosing, here's what I'm creating. Right? Respond to what's happening and then create what we actually desire. And so just as a little, I like to do a little recap through the month. So if you'll recall, at the top of this month, I talked about plugging in and powering up, right? How we plug our cell phones in. We will not let our cell phones lose a charge, right? We are going to plug into source. And how important it is for us to plug into our spiritual source. And I reminded us that Ernest Holmes, who is the founder of the Science of Mind philosophy, says in what we believe in one God. We believe in God, the living Spirit Almighty, one indestructible, absolute, and self-existent cause. Not two, but one. There's one power, one presence. And he says this one manifests itself in and through all creation, but it's not absorbed by its creation. It's expressing through each of us, right? So when we plug into source, we are plugging into that which created us, that which is alive in us. And then the second week, I talked about the source code within. And for my folks out there who are in the tech world, and I don't know why I get these tech references. I don't even know why I'm in Silicon Valley, but here I am, right? For those of you who are tech folks, source code refers to an underlying instructions that determine how a system behaves. So in the second week, we talked about the source code within, right? The source code within, which is the divine source. Right, the divine source code within us has the codes of joy, of love, of abundance, of oneness, of freedom, of possibility. That's the divine source code. And yet, when we look out at the world source code says we're separate. It says, oh no, God doesn't exist in you. God exists somewhere out there. Oh no, we're not each made in the image and likeness of all that is. Only some people are. Right? The world says there's scarcity. There's not enough resources. I got to steal resources. There's not enough money. We got to steal money. There's not enough whatever. We got to dominate this. We have to compete. That's the world source code. And so I invited you in the second week to really get clear what source code is running your life. Because we may not be the ones declaring war. We may not be the ones fighting with our neighbors. We may not be doing that. But if we're out of alignment with our divine design, if we are shooting all over ourselves, then we're running from the world source code, right? if we're not living up to our full potential, if we know there is a desire of our hearts, a desire that is in us that wants to express, and we are walking away from it, pretending it's not there, and then envying other people who are actually living out their purpose, then we're being run by the world's source code. So we are then contributing to the consciousness we say we don't want to see and experience, right? Because it starts with each of us. And so this is what we are talking about here. Ernest Holmes says in What We Believe, he says, we believe in the individualization of the spirit in us, and that all people are individualizations of the one spirit. All people, not some people, right? Not some denominations. All people are individualizations of the one. And so if that is the truth, then we have the power loaded and coded into our structure, into the fabric of our being. We have the power to create what we desire, to create the lives we want. God has implanted that within us through the desires of our heart, right? Through the desires of our heart and our partnering with the divine to actually bring forth, to usher forth the world that we want for ourselves, and thereby be able to participate cleanly in establishing a world that works for all. We can't be out of alignment personally in our personal lives and then look at the mess over there on the news and go, whoa, look at those people and what they're doing. No, you're contributing to that because you're not vibrating in alignment. Right? So every little person, every little cell in the body, right? We're a cell in the body collective. We're a cell in the body collective. So if one cell is not operating optimally, and there's a cluster of cells not operating optimally, the body will be diseased, diseased. That's what we're seeing in the world. Dis-ease is breaking out everywhere as violence and competition and war, right? And so that's why we got to wake up, people. We got to get aligned with the divine within us. It's already, we already know this stuff. We know this stuff. So this is what we're called to do. And so this week, I am getting hyped. Whoa. This week, what we're talking about is we're creating our next chapter, right? What we're talking about is reaction versus creation, right? Moving from reaction to creation, right? Because here's the thing, and you know I like the etymology of words, right? Re means again, back. So to react is to repeat. Right? To react is something external is driving how I'm behaving. What that means is that which I'm reacting to has the power. Right? Because it's causing me, something happens, it's causing me to react. That's different than responding. Right? Responding is on the spectrum of being creative. Right? Because creative, and it comes from the word creare, forgive me my Latin, to bring forth, right? To generate. Right? So to create is initiated from within, and it's building something, it's birthing something, it's energy that's moving from within, from source out. That is creative energy. Right? Reactive is moving backward, and the external is controlling. Creative is something that's coming from me. I'm awake, I'm conscious, I'm in the driver's seat of my life. I am co-creating, I'm birthing, right? Something into the world. And so creation is always the PowerPoint. So here's the thing, when I look at my life in the last few years and the founding of this center, one of the things that was happening at my previous role, was there was some very distinct conflict that was beginning to happen in leadership, right? And it became clearer and clearer to me that it wasn't the right fit for me, and that my desire, my vision, what I knew God had loaded and coded me with was not to be birthed there. I thought it was, but it was not, right? It became clear to me. And it was very, very uncomfortable. There were months of very extreme discomfort for me, right, in that role. And I had to walk through the difficulty of that. And there were many times where I wanted to just walk away, right? And one of my mentors said, as I was exploring this, well, are you running away from something, or are you running towards something? Because those are different things, right? Are you walking away, running away from something, or walking towards something? And at that point, I had nothing to walk towards. It had not come through to start a center. But I did check in with Spirit. I checked in with Source on a moment-by-moment, sometimes, basis of like, God, are you sure you want me here? Like, are you sure I'm not complete with this assignment? right? Like, surely you didn't bring me here to be having this experience. And when finally I had done my work and I got from inside my own being that I was complete in that role, I was complete with that assignment. And when I got that, it was a relief and a release, and I was free, right? And from that place of freedom and openness and recognizing, okay, this journey is now to end and I'm clean about it, right? I'm not running from anything. I'm not reacting to anything. I am clear and I am choiceful. And once that happened, within 3 days, 4 days, it popped through, oh, you're going to start a center, right? And it was like, what? And I'd said many times before, and other ministers and I had talked about how it's easier to start a center than it is to inherit one, right? Or just like with business, right? For those of you who are business folks, it's much easier to start a business than it is to inherit a business and then try to change culture, right? Shift culture. And so I had said that flippantly, right, throughout the 3 years, 2 or 3 years. But when it came through, oh, I'm to birth a center here. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm in this area. And so from that came this huge momentum of energy, right? The birthing energy. Though the creatives in the room know what I'm talking about. When there's something that begins to move through you, when spirit begins to move through you and take shape and form, and you cannot stop it, right? You cannot stop it like it has to take shape. That's what started happening. And so things happened really, 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 really fast, right? And Jenna was there, right? My mom was there. Scott was there. Like, things started moving really fast, to the point where people on the outside are like, what on earth is going on? Like, how is that happening that fast? But when spirit is ready to come through, it comes through, right? And so this is what the process was for me in birthing this center, was that it was a divine idea that was ready to pop through. And I thought it was going to pop through at the other place, and it wasn't the right configuration of things. And also, communities shape what they are. It's not the minister who shapes the community. It's the community that decides what it wants, right? And so I knew it was time, and it was time to say yes, 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 and do this startup, which is Silicon Valley Center for Spiritual Living. So, well, okay, well, thank you. I love y'all too. Yes, I'm glad you love it, because I do too. So here's the thing that I want y'all to get, right, that I really, really want us to get as we look at MLK Day, right? If we look at this day where we celebrate this incredible man who put his life on the line to tear down, to dissolve, to break through so many barriers, right? And I wrote a note to someone, and I said, you know, Dr. King's vision was of the beloved community, right? This community where there were a collective of individuals, a variety of individuals could be together, work together, live side by side, not be alike, right? But find the ways that we have synergy, find the ways that we can integrate and come together to build something greater, right? That was his vision. And I look at this room, and I look at our community, and we are a demonstration of what he called the beloved community. Because let me tell you, all of you in this room, for most of you, 1 generation ago, there is no way a black woman could have started a church in Silicon Valley and attracted a wide variety of people. It just couldn't happen a generation ago, 2 generations ago. It could not happen, right? It could not happen. Look at this room. Look at this room. Look around at the individuals, at the unique ways that God is expressing through a wide variety of individuals. This is the beloved community. Right? Now the thing is, this is not pie in the sky. This is not fairy tales. It's not all rainbows and unicorns. There will be conflict because we're all unique expressions of God. We're not the same expression of God. Right? And wherever you have a collective of people, wherever you have a variety of people who are not alike, you're going to have conflict. That is just the normal order of things. But what we do in this community when that conflict arises is everything, right? Because we can choose how we're going to respond to it, how we let that conflict drive us to create versus destroying each other. Right, we become the prototype or a model for what could happen in the world, Because if we can't handle certain conversations here, if we can't be in a variety of people here, if we can't learn from each other here, we can't create it out there. We can't create it out there. And that's the falsehood that so many New Thought churches are saying. It's like, or just buying into. It's like, if you can't handle certain things in your own community, difficult conversations, right? Conflict when it crops up, right? Isms when they come up, like if there's unconscious bias or whatever's happening, or people feel a certain way. If you can't handle that in your spiritual community, we cannot build a world that works for everyone, right? We can't do it. It can't be done. Yes? And so our work is to be here together and find, where is our common ground? Where is our common humanity? Where are we connected? How are we, what are the ways that unify us? Right? As well as celebrate our distinctness. Right? Celebrate the distinct, unique ways that God shows up. That's what we're called to do. And so the point I'm making in saying all of this is that Dr. King and the civil rights movement, which, by the way, was a movement for everyone. For everyone. It was a movement for everyone, right? Because if everyone isn't free, nobody's free, right? If everyone doesn't have rights, nobody has rights. And that's what we're seeing right now. It's not just one group of people, it's all of us, right? So if one group is threatened, everybody is threatened. Yes? And so what Dr. King talked about in his vision was very creative. It wasn't just responding to the violence and the other things that were happening in the world. He had a vision that was generative, that was creating something, right? That was creating something. And the vision ultimately won out. The vision galvanized people. The vision gathered people from all walks of life. The vision pushed people forward. The vision unified groups of people that weren't unified before. The vision drove him tirelessly. And he was willing to lay down his life for it, right? That is the power of vision. So this was not a reactionary, it wasn't resistance. Right? The civil rights movement wasn't a form of resistance. It was a visionary movement that was propelled by the vision. And we know that where there is God's vision, God provides the provision. Right? So support it. And so one of the things that Dr. King said in his I Have a Dream speech, which we all know, is literally he's casting a vision. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. That one day we will live out the true meaning of the creed of this nation, which is one nation under God, indivisible, right? That we are all and each one valued and equal in the eyes of the divine and each other, right? He said, I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I will add sons and daughters. Right? We'll be able to sit down together at the table of humanity, right? In this room, our ancestors have been on both sides of this. He's describing our ancestors. And yet here we are sitting down together in this room, in this place, in this space. The world is not perfect. The world is not perfect, but we have made such progress. Y'all, I was born in a little town called Evergreen, Alabama. I did not grow up there. And the consciousness of my ancestors who went from slavery to Ivy League in 2 generations, right? Work that they put in. I grew up in Ohio. I went to private schools. I went to private universities. I had so many opportunities, been given so many opportunities. I've been in rooms and places and spaces where I'm the only one who looks like me and I'm leading what's happening there, right? Because of the work that my ancestors put in, right? And so what I'm saying is, things that they could not do, things that your ancestors could not do, you can do. You have the opportunity. Every single person in this room has ancestors who could not have the life, could not even imagine the life that you are living. Every single person in this room has a life that your ancestors somewhere down the line could not imagine. Could not imagine. And yet here we are. Right, here we are. So what I'm saying is, we've come a long way. And yes, there's a way, we have a long way to go. But we have to also honor, we've come a long way, right? And we keep endeavoring to live out the true meaning of the creed of this nation. Yes. And so the bottom line is this, y'all. Dr. King understood that when you react, you're giving power to that which you're reacting to. And when you create, you're aligned with a power greater than yourself. And the power greater than yourself is always going to win. 1 plus God is a majority all day, every week, every year. 1 plus God is always a majority. And so my question to you today is the same question Dr. King was asking in a way, and that is, what are we creating now? What are we creating now? It's not enough to resist. In fact, we all know in this teaching, we say what? What you resist, what? Persist. Resistance is not the move. Creation is the move, right? Yes, there will be actions you will take and things you will do guided by the divine presence. So if it looks like, I don't know what it looks like for you, right? It may look like writing. It may look like marching. It may look like picking up a phone. It may look like just coming to church. It may look like being with your family. I don't know, right? You'll be guided what to do in these challenging times. But above all, creating is the powerful thing. What is the world you want to live in? And let's create that, right? And what consciousness are we creating it from? And what source code is running that creation? And so my invitation to this community is that we join together individually, seated in our own sovereignty, seated in our own power, loaded and coded with that divine source code within, that we do that work, and then we join together collectively to create a world that works for all, right? To create a world that works for all people. That is how we get the job done. And that is what is ours to do. Dr. King and the civil rights movement came to a certain point. It was a point in time, a place in time, and it moved us forward. And there were other movements, Gandhi, and there's so many movements across the globe, right, that help move humanity forward. And now it's time for us to do that work to move humanity upward and forward. Yes. And so that is the next chapter that we are creating at Silicon Valley Center for Spiritual Living. I invite you to join us, If you are not a member of this community and you are fired up, touched by what has been shared here today, I invite you to become a member. We will have a membership class on February 1st. I'll let you know where that's going to be. And you'll learn more about the center, meet some of the leadership. And I invite you to join us. Because we are a community of transformation, of elevation, right? It is powerful energy that we're in, and I'm calling y'all to come with us, and let's do this thing together and build this thing together. We're at the ground floor, year one. You can't stop us, but we're at the ground floor, all right? Good. All right, beloveds. So let's turn within, shall we?